Morning, wonderful people. This is Mr. Ndabezita once again, and we are still in software development. Now, if you remember very well, when we created the scholarship student class and the student class, this is all what we had, and we went on to the main and we executed whatever that needs to be executed. Now, I'm bringing in this class because there are some fundamental things that I want us to look at. Now, we will look at what we call the extension method. Now, let's just go through a brief summary of exactly what this is all about. Right. Sometimes you might wish a class had an additional method that would be useful to you. So this is exactly what we will be trying to do. We will be creating a method that could be useful to us. Okay, right. And then they say extension methods are methods you can write to add to any type. Very important. Okay. The first parameter in an extension method specify the type extended and must begin with the keyword this. Okay, that's fine. Extension methods must be static methods. Very important. Right, the first digit is extracted and so on, maybe from the second digits, and then divided by whatever that has to happen. So let's see what these extensions are all about. Now, the most important thing that I think we need to note is that extension methods are methods you can write to add to any type. Very important. And then secondly, one thing that we need to note is the fact that the first parameter in an extension method specify the type extended and must begin with the this keyword. Very important. Extension methods must be static. Very important things. Okay, now suppose I am in the, let's start first with a student class. Right, this is what we had, and we had the tuition and so on. We had the rate, the credit and the tuition, and we had a name. Now suppose inside of this class we want to have a student number. Suppose that we want to have a string that is a student number, because the student number of every student, it's unique, so we will make that private. So suppose we have a private, let's make it a string, and we will say this is a student number, a student number of this certain individual. Right, and maybe the student will enter in a student number. That is fine. And then let's just have a property for that. So we will have a public, it will be of type string, and we will call that a student number, and we will get, and we will return, return the student number of the student. Okay, and then we will set the student number to the value that one assigns to that. Suppose this is what we have, that is fine, and then we just want to accept that. That is fine. Okay, let me just press the tab to complete that for us. Okay, and then I know when I go to scholarship student, right, and then I will have access to the student number. I know that. Okay, that is fine. Suppose what I want to do inside of this main, what I want to do inside of the main, I want to create a method. Remember, it has to be static. So let's just check something here. This is end main, and this will just it will end class, and this one will end the namespace. Okay, that is fine. So we have read that is a method. We know that methods are declared inside of a class. So the method that we will have as an extension, it will be public. They must be public because we want to access them. It will be static. This is required, and it will be an int. Okay, let me not make this student number a string. Let me make that an int. Why am I making that an int? It's because I have a static method here that returns an integer, and I'm just going to say add the check digit. And then what we do inside of the parameters, remember we have read the first parameter in an extension method specify the type intended and must begin with the this. So what is the type intended? It must begin with the this, and the type, so it must begin with the this, and it has to specify the type intended, which is an int, and I will just assign a num for that. Right, so this will be the name of the argument. Very important. And then I will say first, okay, let me declare some few variables. The first one will be an int, and I will call that first, and I will assign it a value of num. When you enter the number, when you invoke this method, I will take that number and I will divide that number by 10. I will have an int again, which I will call the second. That will be equals to the num modulus of 10. So what am I saying there? I'm saying I will take your number as an argument and find the remainder of that number, because this is how the modulus sign works. And then I will have a third number, and this third number will be equals to the first. The one that brings me this one divides your number and tells me how many tens can I pull out of that number. So it will say, this is very important, first plus second, the modulus. So here one thing that I know is that BODMAS will be applied. It will take first the value of first plus the value of second, and then it will take the modulus. It will divide this by 10 and bring me the remainder. Very important. We have already dealt and explained the first two ones. We explained these ones. Okay, be that as it may, then I will have a result, and I will just have my result, and I will say my result is equals to the number modulus of 10 plus the third number. So what am I saying here? I am taking that number and I'm dividing that number by 10. It will give me the remainder, and then I am adding that remainder to the third. This is exactly the type of method that I want. Okay, that is fine. So now there's a problem here. It says add check digit int, not all code paths return a value. Okay, let me now return. Let me just return the result. So I will return the result and the error is gone. But it looks like there's an error again. Let's check. Extension method must be defined in a non-generic static. Non-generic static. So the class must be static. So I will just say static class and everything is fine. So remember, this class, we are not going to do anything inside of it. We're just running the main. Okay, that's fine. Everything is good. So let's go inside of this main. I want to get rid of all this. Now the first thing I will do in here, I will just say let me have an int, and in this int okay, let me not do that. Let me create some objects. Let me do this. All right, so let me just do this. Let me get rid of that. I'm just going to create one object. So here I have an object, and I'm going to say paying student dot, and when I press the dot, look at what I have access to. I have the tuition, the name, the credit, and so on inside of student. Now let's go to the student class. Oh, there's a problem here. Public string student number. Oh, sorry, public int. Oh, everything is fine. Let's come here and press the dot, and then when I press the dot, here I have access to student number, and I will assign this a value of 21 30 88 6 55. This will be the student number of this individual. That's fine. And then I want to update this student number without having to go to every class and then making the changes. Right, very important. Remember what we read. Sometimes you might wish a class had an additional method that would be useful to you. If you create the original class, you have two options. You could revise the existing class, including the new useful method. You could derive a class from the existing class and provide it with a new method. This is exactly what we can do. Sometimes, however, classes you use were created by others and might not be allowed to either revise or extend them. Of course, you could create an entirely new class that includes new methods, but that would duplicate a lot of work already done when the first class was created. In these cases, the best option is to write an extension method. And extension methods are methods you can write to add to any type. That is exactly what we want to do here. We want to revise this class using an extension method. Very important. Okay, that is fine. So I have this, that is fine. I have assigned the value, and I can just have a write line. I can have a write line, and in my write line I can just say your original student number is, and I can use some placeholders there, is that. All right, and then I can use a comma, and I can say paying student dot student number, and it is a method. Right, I can do this. For the first time, your original student number is that, and then it will take that student number for me. Secondly, this is something that I can do. Secondly, I can say, okay, what I can do is the following. I can say int revised student number, it's equal, and what I can do, I can now go and say student number I can go and say paying student dot, and let's check now. Let's check something. I want to invoke, okay, let me do this. I want to do this. I know when I invoke this method, when I try to invoke this method, when I say add checklist, and then I come here and I have to pass in here what now? I have to pass in an int, right? How do I pass in? Okay, let me do this. Let me just press the tab. Let me do this. Right, so what am I saying? Okay, this only assignment called increment, decrement, await, and new object expression can be used as a statement. So let me take this and just say int, and say this is my revised student number. My revised student number is equals to what now? I invoke this method and I am saying add check digit, and then which, and then I call this object dot student number. Very important in this line, and then I'm going to take this line, copy, and I am going to paste here. And then when I'm here now, I am going to output the revised student number. So I'm going to output the revised student number, and everything is okay now. Now here I will say your revised student number is this. So in the first one, I'm just outputting the student number of this object, and then now I am declaring an int called the revised student number, and I am saving this inside of that. So I say add check digit, and then I go to the object dot student number, and I'm storing that inside here. So I want to check if, for example, the student number is 213088 it should be able to add a revised student number for me. Okay, let me show you with just a simple number. Let's say the number is 49. So the revised number, what is it going to do now? The revised number, right, it's going to perform all this calculation and add the last digits right after 9 here. Let's just check this. Control F5. Let's just try to run this and check exactly what will transpire in here. So let's just wait for the compiler to load up so that we can see exactly that which we need to see. Now here we are. Your original student number is 49. Your revised student number is 12. Okay, so this is the revised student number. Okay, let's just go to the student. And did we assign any value to the student number? No, we did not. But via this, everything was done for us. Okay, that is fine. Everything is good. And then we went to this one. Paying student dot student number is equals to 49. There it is. The value was assigned as 49. Your original student number is, and when we run our code, when we run the code, let me run it once more. So here it is, it's 12. The number, the original number, it's 49, and the revised one now it's 12. Okay, now let's try to do it in this way. Let me not assign values via the object like this, but let me just say int, and let me just say student number, and just assign it a value of 49. Very good. And then I am not going to invoke this. I'm just going to say student number like that, and it will check that digit, and I will send in student number like this. And even here, okay, no, I shouldn't have done that. And then here I will just output the revised one. Okay, that is fine. So this is fine, everything is good. So let's just run this and check. Let us just run this. And we're still having the same number, but what we wanted was to add that number right after this 9. So let's check where might the problem have been. So here we are, we have a public static int, and we call this exactly that. We had the first number, it's the number divided by 10, no problem. Second one, modulus of 10, no problem. And the third one is the first one added by the second one, and then taking the modulus of that is fine. And then when we are here, okay, let me not say modulus here, let me use multiplication. Let me just use multiplication there. I think I have made a mistake. Let me use multiplication, because remember, we want to revise that account number, not to entirely change it. So we just want to have a 3 exactly or something after the 49. So let me just correct this, and here it is correct now. Your revised account number is this. So we can do it in this way, or we can do it in the previous way. Let me show you previously what we did. Okay, that's fine, but here let me go back and use the object. So let me just say paying student, and then I will just call paying student dot student number, and I will assign it a value of 49. Remember, it accepts paying student dot student number, it accepts a value let me just assign it a value of 49. That's fine. And then I will just come here and I will just say paying student dot student number. Very good. And then I will just come here and say paying student dot student number. So I am now inside of an object. I want this object to instantiate the account, the student number inside of the student with this value. revise that value and print that value out for me. So please, let's just note something here. You don't use the modulus, we use multiplication. Very important. Now when I come here, everything is printed fine. As we can see, your original student number is this, and your revised student number is that. So we can do it with an actual student number. For example, 21, 30, 88, 655, and it will just revise that for us. So let's just run this and let us just check. So I can come just here, and as you can see, 21, 30, 88, 655, 0. So this is the revised student number. So inside of student, and then what I can do again, I can create an object of a scholarship student, and I'll just say scholarship equals new scholarship student. I will just do this. All right, and once that has been done, I can say scholarship student dot, and you see now I have access to the student number, even though there is no student number inside of scholarship, but because of inheritance this will work just fine. So I can come here and say student number, and suppose the student number of this one is 22, 30, 6, 7, 4, and so on. So this is what I can do. I can copy this line and I can paste this line here, but instead of saying paying student, I will say scholarship student. Very good. And then I can take these two lines, I can copy these lines and I can just paste them here. And what I can do, I can say scholarship student let me just check. This is okay, let me check. Scholarship student dot student number, and there it is, my object, and here it is. And then let me just use let me just get rid of this because it was already there, so I will be just overriding. Okay, so your original, okay, let's just run this and check. Once all this is done, and here we are, let's just go through this. So your original student number is this for the first student, and this was revised. For the second one, this is the number, and we have some problem. So this is the scholarship student, the student number is that and we have scholarship student dot student number is that, and your revised student number, okay, still having that value. So let me just say here int student revised student number 2, and let me just use 2 there, and let's just run this and check. It looks like we are having some problem. So this is the student number of the student. Scholarship dot student number is this, and your original student number is that, and we are calling scholarship.student number, which is this value. And then I don't even have to do this. And then when I say revise student number equals add check digit, and we are in scholarship student number, it should be able to revise that for us. So maybe let's just use something that might be let's just say 21 30 88 6 77. Let's say this is the student number of this individual, so that you see, so that we can have accurate results. So we have the first student number, there it is, the revised one, there it is. We have the second one, 21 30 88 677, and here it was revised. So I have just overridden the value here, revised the student number. When it comes here, it overrides that value. Very, very important. So this is something very magnificent that I wanted us to look at and share, and assuming and hoping that you have understood. Thank you for watching the tutorial. I will see you in the next tutorial.